Hello, welcome back. Now, let us avert our eyes back to matters domestic politics for a moment here before we do a final hour. Again, no doubt dipping our toes in the boiling waters of international politics. And, of course, at 12 o'clock, we'll be having Prime Minister's questions, which we'll be taking live. I think that's going to be a particularly pugnacious session. Interesting to see the words that come out of Starmer's mouth during that and how truthful they may be. But there's been a reform press conference again today, and our very own Samara Gill has been there. We can connect with her now. Hello, Samara. What was on the agenda for Nigel Farage and his crew?
You know, it was a really interesting press conference today, having Labour defectors like Sir Robin, who's just next to me in the building, saying some really interesting things that signal a sort of new wave for reform, especially in their London borough, or sort of the votes that they're trying to pick up here. It was very, very interesting. We discussed a lot about the grooming gangs with Layla Cunningham, the inaction of Sadiq Khan. There were words flung about him, left, right and centre. Also the dissatisfaction that the defectors had with Keir Starmer and how they can no longer recognise the Labour Party. It was seriously interesting stuff, and peppered in there was Nigel Farage giving his view on the world's events. But let's cross over to Sir Robin Wales now. I mean, this is a really interesting defection. What was sort of the final straw for you?
So I'll say again, we didn't defect from the Labour Party. The Labour Party left us. We stand by the values that we've had for a long time. We haven't changed those values. We left the Labour Party. We looked around and talked to reform. We thought, you know, we need a radical change. Not a destroy everything, but a radical change. And we thought this was the right place to come. Yeah, I know everybody says they're racist, but of course they're not. That's just what the opposition tried to label them as.
So you're not a defector?
I don't consider myself a defector. I consider myself somebody who's sensible and has looked at the reality. You asked what the last straw was. There are many last straws. I mean, the grooming gangs is a good example. Yeah, come on. We know that people were covering it up. They've got to be made to account. In London, there were grooming gangs running across the country while I was in London running Newham. And I want to know if we missed anything. I want to know, did we miss anything? Should we? What more could we have done?
Well, you were the mayor for a long time. Why wasn't there action on that?
Well, because we didn't see it. Nobody ever brought it up to us. We had no idea it was going on until it was very brave journalists actually revealed it. But that's why we want to review it. We want the whole thing out in the open. Let's find out what happened, find out any mistakes that were made. I don't think we made mistakes, but I'm always willing to listen. So that's an important issue. But to be honest, I think the whole Starmer government is gutless. They should have faced down their MPs, they didn't, and as a result, all the things that they should be doing, they're not doing. Starmer's Prime Minister to be Prime Minister. He's not Prime Minister to do anything. He's not Prime Minister to represent the people that I think we should represent, which is working people on low incomes. So I joined the Labour Party, but I was always to support working people on low incomes, and that's who's been left in the lurch. And I would say to anybody out there who's like that, have a really good look at reform. They're not the party that other people try to make them out to be, and I think myself and Clive Furness, who's the mayoral candidate in Newham, both think this is the right choice.
You and Clive had some very nice things to say about Nick Clegg, Tony Blair, even Boris Johnson. I mean, it's very common knowledge that the reform base does not trust these people. What would you say to that? I
didn't say very nice things to that. I said Nick Gibb and the Tories did something.
Right, sorry, that's my bad.
That's not probably my accent. It's okay. I've misunderstood loads.
But Boris Johnson got some nice words.
Boris Johnson did some good stuff, but the reason he did some good stuff in London was he had some excellent people working with him. He gets to number 10 and he stops listening to anybody. And he was a disastrous Prime Minister, absolute disaster, the Boris wave and everything else. But as Mayor of London, he was not a bad mayor. We should be honest. We don't have to criticise everybody when they've done a good job. So he's done an all right job. Blair, first 5 years, I think we should look at that and say that was very successful. Then we sent all the kids to university, then we went to Iraq, and then he made lots of mistakes. But give credit for the things that people do well and criticise them for the things that they do badly. We'd do a lot better in politics if we did that. So I'd just like to be honest.
A bit of forgiveness entering reform, I see. Look, I mean...
I never said I'd forgive anybody. I said I'd be honest about it. Come on.
Why Reform UK? I mean, what does it have to offer London voters that the Labour and Conservatives don't? I mean, Sadiq Khan is a behemoth candidate. You're taking him on. What are you going to offer?
Well, Clive Furness is taking on Newham, where we had 80% satisfaction level, most popular council in the country. Now it's 25%. That's what you get when you get a Corbynite, Starmer sort of system there. I think Leila Cunningham's a very good candidate. I think what distinguishes her for me, she's dynamic and smart and all that. But what's really good about her is she listens. And she doesn't think she can do everything. She's going to get people in to make it run well, which is the model that will give us a better London. So we're happy to support her, very happy to support her. The reason reform, well, let's be honest, the Tories completely messed it up. Labour did that disastrous job. The Greens are out to lunch, and the Liberals haven't found a fence they couldn't sit on, or a log flume they can't go down. I mean, what do they actually stand for? None of them stand for anything except the continuation of the current politics that aren't delivering the services people deserve. Reform have raised issues that nobody else has done. They're willing to talk and listen. They want to be radical. As I say, you don't just throw everything out. You're radical. You find out what services are being delivered, and we wrote a book, Left, Right, Wrong, about our time in Newham, about how to approach improving services. Our job after the election is going to be to go into councils, if reform wins some, because never take the electorate for granted, and if they win, we'll talk to them about how to deliver better services so we can demonstrate that it can work better.
Thank you so much.
My
Sir
pleasure.
Robin Wales, he's going to be a reformer now, but he hasn't defected. Don't get that.
I've always been a reformer.
There you go. Alex, back to you. That's the new look for reform.
Thank you very much. Yeah, interesting there to see that reform is sort of, they might not be big defections, it might not be, you know, on the same par as Robert Jenrick, but I think trying to demonstrate that they are, I suppose they might argue, a centrist party that attracts support from all corners of the political spectrum. Certainly, if they're wanting to break down barriers in the Red Wall, they will need Labour votes. But this, of course, was a press conference focusing on London, where they've already announced their mayoral candidate in the form of Leila Cunningham. That is not set to take place, the mayoral election for London, until 2027. But critical elections, of course, coming up locally as well